Subscribe to The Honest Critique for current affairs, movie, book, and product reviews. Also, make sure you press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video. The views, information, or opinions expressed during the video series are solely those of the individuals and do not necessarily represent those of The Honest Critique and its employees. The following video contains strong language which may be offensive to some viewers. Viewer discretion advised.
Hello and welcome to a very special episode we're recording today. I'm delighted to have Turku Avci, a Turkish citizen currently pursuing political science and communication at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, today with us. With an in-depth understanding of Turkish, Middle Eastern, and Israeli politics, Turku offers unique insights into regional developments and geopolitical dynamics. So, Turku, thank you so much for taking your time and speaking to us today.
Thank you so much.
Could you share your journey from Turkey to studying political science and communication at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem? How did you land up here? What experiences influenced your decision to come here in Israel?
I came on 2021. I was actually looking for universities in abroad to study, and then it's just I wanted to see the conflict from Israel, from Israelis' eyes, and also I wanted to study political science, and being a Middle Eastern expert and journalist was my childhood dream. And Israel was perfect place to see it, perfect place to analyze Middle East. So yeah, this is how I end up here.
And how has it been like? And is there a particular experience that influenced your decision to speak about Israel, to support Israel, and speak out against groups like Hamas?
Yes, like there are lots of, like, first of all, the language that was using against Israel in Turkish televisions, like, was really hostile and like one side story, and like what you just think that there are two countries, Israel and Palestine, and one country is just evil and it's just kill everyone that it sees, like babies, the women, and like I just start thinking it cannot be the story, it cannot be the fact. So this is how I start to search about it. And also the radicalization in Turkey, it became like more and more, and like you should be blind to not see Palestinian cause is using as propaganda, as Islamist propaganda in Turkey and other countries. So these all just made me wanna search about it, just made me wanna learn what's the fact and what can I do for it.
Now, let's take a little step back to your childhood. How was it like growing in Turkey? Did you also grew up in that culture where you started hating Israel from the childhood because of what you heard in the television news?
No, actually, I grew up in a secular environment and secular city. Like in my city, Erdogan never had his power, and he never had supporters. So I grew up in a Also, where I live is where it's like a holiday place. We're welcoming lots of tourists from every kind of place, and we also had lots of Israeli tourists. So where I grew up, I didn't really see such a hatred or such a perspective, but um, the but you're getting influence from the things you see on TV, because it doesn't matter if you watch secular media or right-wing media, it's all over the place, the Israel hatred and Zionist hatred. And so, like, I in my personal life, I cannot say um I saw something, but yeah, like I remember the times that I was watching, and like I was terrified by the things I was seeing.
So, how was it like growing up? Did you also face problems with people around you? Did they have a negative opinion and influenced by what the media was showing or what they were reading in schools? How was it growing or studying up in a Turkish school or growing with your friends around you?
Of course, like it doesn't matter where you grow up in Turkey. There's a certain view on Israel. Like uh, you just born and you just know that Israel is not a good country, and like defending Israel is not something good person can do. So when I say my friends, or even now, I'm here for 3 years. They didn't really welcome it. Like they were like, "What are you gonna do there?" And like after October 7, most of my friends texted me, and they were like, "Yeah, come back here. It's not your country. It's they're killing babies," and like the same phrases. So of course, like even like my parents, they're just like seeing some comments me being here, and also I'm seeing some criticism from my friends, even like friends that they have no interest with politics. They never watch news or anything, but they have strong opinions about Israel.
Now let's come to an Instagram post dated December 2nd, 2024. You wrote that everything I saw gave me more strength to fight for people who have to live under a near radical Islamist. Now, as a Turkish citizen supporting Israel, as you mentioning that you face a lot of opposition and challenge, could you explain a little more, like what kind of exact challenge or an opposition that you face within your own community? I'm sure it might not be easy to speak about Israel being a Turkish citizen.
I think the challenge is you're challenging with both right and left, and you just have to debate, and you just have to show them you're not doing something wrong. And it's not only right wing, also the secular side and sometimes left wing. Now it's a little bit changed, not like all the Turkish people hates Israel. Now people are more educated about it, and like most of the people, because of the Turkey situation, they want to talk about Turkey, and like they can see that it's a propaganda, even though they support Palestine. And sometimes they're like, okay, we support Palestine, but you're using it as a propaganda. You're using it against us. So, and instead of talking about economy or our kids, their future, we're talking about the same thing over and over again, and it just gives strength to radical um, groups in Turkey. Uh, so the challenge was like with like I consider myself leftist in Turkey. I'm secular and I always voted for left parties, but they have some arguments that is really strong, and also the right wing has their own argument that is so strong. So it's just kind of bit like loneliness, I can say. And even though people support me, I know there are lots of people, they cannot do it on public, they cannot do it on Instagram comments, they can only DM me, like they can do it in privately, not like openly or publicly, because they're also afraid to get some criticism from the public. So even though I have support, it's more private, and the hate I get, it's more public. I think this is the challenge.
But is there any space for an idea about advocating good relations with Israel, either in the right or the left in the Turkish politics?
Right now, it's hard to tell. Like with maybe with different leader, with different perspective, and but with this media, and with this administration, I cannot be really optimistic, because like it's been like 20 years with Erdogan's leadership, and we see what's going on with Israel and Turkey all the time. and the media is just unbelievable. So like for now I cannot be optimistic, but of course there are people in Turkey that they want better relations with Israel, because when you look at it, we don't really have any conflict with Israel, like except the Palestinian rhetoric, uh, nothing. So yeah, like with this leadership I cannot be optimistic at all, but in the future with better leadership, better someone more reasonable, we can talk about it.
Yeah. And since you mentioned about the leadership, and we understood that it may not be possible via the leadership, but how is, if you could give us a little bit of an overview of how are the people looking at Israel? What's the current state of anti-Semitism in Turkey? Have you observed any changes or trends after October 7th?
Okay, before October 7 we were in normalization process, and like Israeli tourists, they were traveling Turkey often, and like it was becoming normal to see Israelis or staying Israel, saying that I'm from Israel was not something dangerous. But on October 7, it's something just happened, and people just show their hatred so openly, and like they think they have right to do anti-Semitism, or like any they can say anything to Israel or like Jewish people, because they think they have right to do that, even though if they will attack to Jewish schools in Turkey, they can justify that because it's Israel, or it's there are Jewish people, or so after October 7, like I don't know the reason, it's like unbelievable, but it became so loud, like so loud. But it like there are huge difference before October 7 and after October 7. And but now after a year and a half, now people, like what I see, uh, people want to talk about Turkey. Like they don't care if Hamas leaders coming to Turkey or Erdogan saying some speech about Palestine. They just wanna hear speeches about Turkey and Turkey's future.
But how much of that initial anti-Semitism that you're talking about was influenced by the leadership? Because uh, Erdogan is someone who has always brought up Israel in most of his political speeches. In fact, a few days back, he wanted the death and destruction of the Israeli state. So, how much of that is the public perception of Israel is influenced by the leadership?
Uh, I think no one is influencing by the leadership. The people who has their opinion about Israel, they have it already. Maybe with Erdogan's speech, it becomes more loud and justified to say it. But no one becomes pro-Palestinian or more anti-Semitic because of Erdogan's speeches. It's just Turkey is a really big country, and we have radical groups, and they're so loud, and they can protest. They have all the right to do. They can just uh, go attack people on Starbucks or McDonald's or Burger King, and they can attack people that are not thinking like them, and no one is doing to them, no one touching them. So the level we are seeing on media just because of this reason is really high. Like if I was a Jewish or Israeli, I would be afraid to go Turkey, because all the thing we are seeing on the media is just crazy. But in real life, in daily life in Turkey, also, as I said, Turkey is a really big country. So it also depends where you're traveling or which region are we talking about. But at least for my region, I can say I cannot talk about that kind of anti-Semitism or anti-Israel's sayings, but it's still quite high.
And I want to now talk a little bit about Turkey's uh, has been criticized for the support of Hamas with allegations of providing safe havens to some of its leaders. Now, this support has strained Turkey's relation with Israel and has raised concern among other nations. What motivates Turkey's backing of Hamas? Why does Turkey even support a group, a terror group like Hamas? And how does it even align with this broader regional security objective? Does Turkey get anything supporting Hamas?
Uh, okay, the thing is, um, I think not Turkey, but Erdogan. First of all, he has great relations with Qatar royal family, and they had huge investment in Turkey. And royal family members, they got properties, banks, channels. It's just huge. They did over $15 billion investment to Turkey. So I don't think Erdogan just can say no to Qatar family, because they say when our economy collapsed after a conflict between Trump and Erdogan, they kind of saved him with all those investments and everything. So I don't think he can just like go against them. And but he also right now, after Trump elected, he also doesn't want to go against Trump. But also the hosting Hamas leaders, or he also hosted Taliban. They're just giving so much strength to radical groups. It's just like saying that I'm stepping on secular people in Turkey, because this is not the scenes we see. I told you, like left wing also like supporting Palestine, but they don't support Hamas at all. It's not the case. So when we see Hamas in like uh, in our country, it's like stepping on our body. I don't know how to describe it, but so he just does it to strengthen his radicalism, and also the economic interests from Qatar, and also the power, that he wants to be the power in the Middle East. Like he wants to be the only country who's against Israel. And yeah, this yeah, like Turkey is not getting anything for sure, but Erdogan is getting something.
Yeah. Now, for a lot of our audience who's watching this, they might be wondering that what makes Turkey do it because it's a NATO member? Does this impact in some way having relationship with a terror group like Hamas, a relationship that Turkey has with its Western allies and its overall international standing? Does everyone care for that?
I think for a long, I think long time ago, Erdogan decided to make Turkey a Middle Eastern country. When I was a kid, we were saying we are a European country, and like if someone accused us to be Middle Eastern country, we were getting so angry. We were like, no, we are European country. We're gonna be in European Union. But long time ago, Erdogan just gave off with being a member of European Union or European country, and he just going more and more uh, to become Middle Eastern country. And like I don't think he cares, like, and because also the things he everything that he does right now, it doesn't seem like he really cares about the Western values or Western um yeah, Western values. And so I don't think he really cares. He just does what he does.
And from there, if you could explain, and a lot of people who are watching this from India might wonder because every night when we look at the Turkish television or we read news from Turkey or we see how Turkey is represented in international forum, one of the things that comes to us about Kashmir and Islam from our side as well that we look at. How did Turkey all of a sudden become so Islamized? How did that happen?
It didn't happen all of a sudden. It's a long process. Like he is in charge for like 20 years. And also like after Atatürk, we only had like one left prime minister. The other prime ministers we had always like right wing or like more Islamic or more nationalities. So it's like a long process. But even though we had Islamist leaders before Erdogan, they were all respected republic and democracy, also secular Turkey, because in constitution we are secular. And but Erdogan, when he started, before he came, he said, "I'm gonna." I'm gonna be respectful, everyone. I'm gonna bring this freedom of speech, and everyone. I'm gonna bring the equal rights for LGBTQ members, for everyone. And now he just hates everyone besides his supporters. He literally wants to destroy LGBTQ community, and like everyone just doesn't think like him. And how it's like it starts so slow, like he start with changing some laws and like education system. Also the Turkey had parliamentary system, he also changed that. And we had a strong separation of powers. Now he collected all the power in himself. And the like he just now he has all the power. He has the Supreme Court, he has the um, everything. He can just make law because he wants to. So it's like a long process. And I think it happened because also because of the opposition, because when all those things were happening, they were so silent. They, if they would give the reaction that they are giving right now in 10 years ago, we wouldn't live all those stuff right now.
Now, before we move on to any other questions on Turkey, let's talk a little bit about what's happening in Turkey right now. So, explain what led to the arrest of the Istanbul mayor, Ekrem İmamoğlu, and what were the main charges against him, and why are people in Turkey protesting right now?
Okay, I'm so sorry. Right now dogs are barking. And
That's okay. I can't you, it's barely audible, by the way. That's okay.
okay, good. If you can't hear me, please let me know. So İmamoğlu, first of all, we need to start like who is İmamoğlu? İmamoğlu is mayor of Istanbul since 2018. And after like 18 years of Erdogan's leadership, İmamoğlu was the first person who won election against him. Erdogan was not running for a mayor of Istanbul, but his party was running. And in Turkey, local elections is something so important. And in Turkey, if you take Istanbul, you take all the country. Erdogan also, he was also once mayor of Istanbul before he became prime minister. He was the mayor of Istanbul, and he himself like kept saying that if we lose Istanbul, we lose Turkey. And after 18 years, he lost election and he lost Istanbul. And that time, he canceled the elections. After he lost the elections, he said, "You cheated, and I'm canceling the elections." And they did elections again 2 months later. This time, İmamoğlu won over 800,000 gap. So, and he became a hero in Turkey. Like, we were just lost our hope to to take over Erdogan with democracy, and he just brought that hope again. We were like, we just want Istanbul. We can actually take over him by elections. And he is just a great leader. and everyone from far right to far left, from communists to Islamists, everyone just loved him. And he became more popular and popular, even in like Western countries, in Europe, and he just became so popular. And then he just became the biggest rival of Erdogan. And then last year we had local elections again, and this time Erdogan defeat so bad. He lost almost uh, all the imported cities, and he defeated so bad. And İmamoğlu once again won the Istanbul with a big difference, over 1 million votes. Afterwards, we just start seeing İmamoğlu as the next president, everyone. And his party and Erdogan start attacking him like so strong, almost every speech that he has. And then İmamoğlu's party said, like, we saw that something is coming against İmamoğlu. They're gonna do something. They're gonna arrest or like do something, because he was just keep talking about İmamoğlu. So his party said, which is CHP, said we're gonna do pre-elections to declare our next candidate for the for the next national elections. So 4 days before this pre-election, they canceled his diploma. And in Turkey, without your university degree, if you don't have a university degree, you cannot run for elections. You cannot become president. So they canceled his university degree, which is like hilarious, which is so unlawful. Like, they found something, they said something, and like it's so unful. And like, even lawyers, they cannot explain how did it happen. And next day, early in the morning, they took him from his home, and they just arrested him. And they questioned him for like 4 days, and then they arrested him. And the accusations like a lot, from terrorism to corporation, and like he has everything in his file, and everything is with all the accusations is just because of 3 secret witnesses. We don't know their names, we don't know who are they. The file is all about 3 witnesses testimonies, and they say we heard something, we see something, maybe it happened, maybe it didn't happen. So because of this 3 secret witnesses, we don't even know if they exist. İmamoğlu is in jail right now. So this is the basic story. And yeah, like I don't believe any of the accusations at all. Like, I don't even have to read the file, because there's no proof, there is no testimony from someone we can identify, we can see. And yeah, and like, not just him, also they arrested so many people, and they're still like all the artists, and like everyone just go against Erdogan, everyone just protesting him. They're going under the chain, or they're getting arrested. So this is the situation.
Okay. And how are the citizens or opposition reacting to this? Are they very hopeful that they might get something out from the protest? And if you could also talk about a little bit about how does these protests or the political unrest will affect Turkey's upcoming local or national elections? Do you think any changes is possible?
First of all the protests that we are seeing, it all started not because of opposition, but because of students. because the first day they detained İmamoğlu. They also banned all the protests or everything in Istanbul, but students, they didn't stay their homes. They went to streets, they cracked down the barricades, and they just light a fire, and then opposition parties, they join them. And then it just becomes stronger and stronger. And I'm trying to be optimistic, but I don't think Erdogan is going to go to an election that he knows he's going to lose. And also in normal democracies, we should be able to talk about early election in Turkey right now, like 2 months from now, because economy is just so bad, and almost 60-70% of people want this administration to be changed. And but he cannot even handle to have rival. He is just arresting them, and İmamoğlu is not the first one. We are talking about him because he's the most popular one, the most powerful one. So I don't think Erdogan is going to go to election that he thinks he's going to lose. I don't know how this everything is going to end, and what we're going to see. I think we just need to wait and see.
Now let's come back to what we're discussing about Israel and Turkey. So, how does the domestic political consideration for Erdogan influence foreign policy decision? In Turkey, his rhetoric and action towards Israel have been seen as some of the efforts to galvanize nationalist and conservative support within the country. But do this internal political dynamics shape Turkey's foreign policy towards not just Israel, but in general?
Uh, no, because our internal conflicts, they don't really affect Erdogan decisions in foreign relations, because he doesn't really care like what people want or what they ask, like what kind of foreign relations we want. And so uh, like in Turkey right now, as I said, there's no democracy. There's only thing that, and it's what Erdogan wants and what his interests. And if tomorrow his interest is gonna be better relations with Israel, it's gonna be better relations with Israel. So yeah.
Now I wanted to go and talk about a blog that you wrote for the Times of Israel, in which you titled Palestine a Tool for Radicalization in Turkey. And you wrote, and I quote, that on one hand, the secular left media avoids criticizing Hamas's inhuman action or frames it reporting in a way that aligns with the political Islamists despite ideological differences. On the other hand, it is used as a tool to generate sympathy for jihadist organizations like Hamas, legitimizing actions under the banner of Palestinian resistance. Now, considering that you mentioned in an Instagram story as well on January 3 that you had stopped watching news channels in Turkey, how do you explain this persistent alignment of the Turkish secular left media with the political Islamist narratives? Understandably, the leadership might be aligned with what Hamas's goals are, or how Qatar made Erdogan for support Hamas. But how does the left media here is a Hamas cheerleader?
Okay, the left media, of course, they don't support Hamas, but the way they give the news is just so different. It's just they're just justifying what Hamas did. If you don't talk about hostages, if you mention hostages as prisoners, and if you call hostage deal as prisoner deal, and during these deals are happening, if you only show Palestinian prisoners videos and everything, how can you wait people to react? they're just going to justify Hamas, because all they see is oppression from Israel, and and also like even with the war with Lebanon, the left and right media, they just gave this new, like, Hezbollah didn't attack Israel, and Israel just woke up one day and decided to have war with Lebanon, without like giving two side of the story, just giving one side of the story, and still saying we don't support Hamas. It just doesn't work that way. So also like left wing, they don't really have option, like, because if they will do something against Hamas, or like Palestinian administration, or something pro-Israel, something say that Israel defending itself, it can also they can also be cancelled by by the public. But when I say public, it's powerful public. I'm powerful groups, which are the radical groups in Turkey right now. If you say something like, I think Israel defending itself, because this is also how we fight with terrorism, because Turkey is also fighting with terrorism for years, they're gonna be cancelled. Like, even like when October 7th happened, some artists they said like, we should be sorry for Israeli babies, like we are sorry for Palestinian babies. Even they got so many criticism because they mention Israeli babies as well. So left media, they don't have choice. I guess they're afraid to get cancelled, but also they need to the media need to serve to people, and it's not for Turkish people, because you cannot create a public that justify Hamas, especially country like Turkey.
So, for our viewers who might not be familiar, what I'm talking about, the state oil company of the Republic of Azerbaijan is the Azerbaijani State Oil Company, and it plays a crucial role in the regional market by facilitating shipment of Azerbaijani oil to Israel via Turkey's port of Ceyhan using the Baku Shubli Ceyhan pipeline. So, in one of the blogs you wrote, and I quote, despite its anti Israel rhetoric, Turkey has continued to turn a blind eye to Azerbaijan's oil export to Israel for years. Given the stark contradiction between Turkey's public stance and its economic actions, how do you interpret this balancing act? Is it a deliberate, pragmatic strategy to safeguard its economic interest, or does it reveal a deeper inconsistency in Turkey's policy approach?
First of all, right now Turkey needs foreign exchange. That's for sure. We are economically not doing well. We are not in the place to boycott Israel or any country that we have good trade relations. So, like, we don't have that power. Also, like, we cannot just cut the pipeline you just said, Baku, Tiflis, and Ceyhan, and we have international um deals, like contracts, but also like some journalists just published something, Turkish journalists, that Turkey is actually continues its trades with Israel by showing that as if we are Turkey sending products to Palestine, not Israel, but it's actually coming to Israel. So some Turkish journalists also published some documents about it. And so also, like, it's not the first time it's happening. Every time Erdogan or Turkey has conflict with Israel, our trade ratings are getting higher. So we never actually cut the trade relations with Israel. And right now, I don't think we are capable to do that, like, because Israel was buying 65% of steel from Turkey and other products. And so, like, Erdogan, also we saw in West countries protest against Erdogan because of this hypocrisy, because they know Erdogan is saying that he's supporting Israel, may Allah destroy, supporting Palestine, I'm sorry, and may Allah destroy Israel, but continues this trade with Israel because like we need a foreign exchange.
So thank you for that answer. Lastly, in one of the videos, you mentioned that there is no reason why Turkey and Israel cannot be friends. And as a country that has also fought against terrorism, we should be the ones who understand Israel's war with Hamas. Now, given these optimistic words, do you actually see any positive signals for the future of Turkey-Israel relation? And overall, do you see any possibility of a change in leadership that can drive that change happening?
Right now, I told you before, with this administration, with this leadership, no. Also with the media, I don't see. Uh, I cannot be optimistic, and but with different leadership, with different administration, yes, like we can try with different perspectives, and also with the change in media, because let's say a different leader came who comes and wants to make better relations with Israel, but public still not ready for it, not ready for better relations with Israel. How can he be able to do it? So we also need support for media and education. It's not just gonna happen with the one leadership. It's we are talking about the anti-Israel propaganda or anti-Semitism for years. Like it started 60s or 70s. So yeah, with better relations, and yeah, why not? But right now with this administration, no, I don't think so.
Well, that's all the question that I had for you. So thank you so much for taking your time and speaking to us today.
Thank you.